Last time we watched Rosa Martinez's colors fade, one word lost, one brushstroke faltered, one last painting yellow, white, and the ghost of blue, and then silence. But the story didn't end there. Rosa was forgetting faster now. It wasn't just words, it was whole days, whole people. She would wake up at 2 a.m. convinced she needed to take Elena to school. Elena was 18. She forgot to eat breakfast, then lunch. Then she turned on the stove and walked away. Elena's mother, Carmen, installed a lock on the kitchen, then a monitor in the bedroom, then a door alarm. Carmen was doing everything. Working full-time as a nurse, caring for strangers all day, then coming home to care for her mother. She never complained, but Elena could see it wearing on her. Elena would come home from school and find her mother sitting in the dark, still in her scrubs, not even having the energy to change. That image never left her. The dangerous incident happened on a Thursday evening. Rosa had slipped out the back door. They found her 2 blocks away, still in her nightgown, trying to find her mother's house. Her mother had been gone for 30 years. Carmen held her mother on the sidewalk for a long time. Rosa said, "I just want to go home." Carmen whispered back, "I know, Mama, me too." She called the doctor the next morning. The family meeting was on a Sunday. Just Carmen and Elena. 2 chairs pulled close. A brochure on the table that nobody wanted to open. Serenity Gardens Memory Care Center. Carmen said, "I know what you're thinking, that we're giving up on her." Elena shook her head. "I'm thinking that we're keeping her safe. That's what she would have wanted, when she could still tell us." Moving day was the hardest day of Elena's life. Worse than the diagnosis. Worse than anything. Because when you pack someone's life into boxes, you feel just how small a life fits when you reduce it to what's essential. And then they came to the studio. Elena's job was to pack the studio. Carmen said she just couldn't. Elena understood. She went in alone. She packed the paintbrushes one by one. She wrapped the palette, still with dried paint from the last session, in newspaper. She took down every painting Rosa had left behind, and she cried the whole time. She was proud of that. The first time Elena visited Rosa at Serenity Gardens, she brought sunflowers. Rosa loved sunflowers, used to paint them every spring. Rosa looked at the flowers for a long moment and said, "Those are beautiful. What are they called?" She didn't know Elena either. Not that visit, not the one after. Elena would sit beside her and just talk about painting, about the studio, about a little girl who got to learn from the best. Then, on the 4th visit, something happened. A care worker brought in an art therapy tray, watercolors, a few brushes, some paper. Rosa's hand moved before her brain did. She reached for a brush. She held that brush and something in her face shifted. Not recognition of Elena, not memory, something older than that. Something that lived in the muscles of her fingers, in the marrow of who she was. Rosa painted a yellow circle, just that. Imperfect, wobbly, pure. She held it up and looked at Elena and said, "Sunshine." It was the first time in 8 months she had spoken directly to her. Elena lost it completely. Elena applied to art school the same autumn. She sent in a portfolio, not her own work. She sent in photographs of Rosa's paintings. Every stage. From the vibrant early work to the last 3-color whisper. Her application essay was 1 page. It said, "My grandmother taught me that art is what's left when everything else is taken away. I want to spend my life figuring out what that means." She got in, early decision, full scholarship. Carmen cried for 20 minutes. Elena stared at the acceptance email for a long time, and then she thought, now I actually have to paint. Art school was everything she'd imagined. Huge, airy studios. Students who spoke about color the way Rosa used to, paint smell. That beautiful paint smell. For 1 week she felt completely at home. Then came the first assignment. Simple enough, a self-portrait. Elena set up her easel, squeezed out the paints, picked up the brush, and froze. Every color on the palette reminded her of a different painting Rosa had made. Yellow was the last painting. White was the silence after. Blue was the word Rosa lost first. She put the brush down, packed up, went back to her dorm and sat in the dark for a while. She tried again, and again. Every attempt ended the same way. She'd get 3 minutes in and the grief would come flooding up through the brush and she'd have to stop. Her professor, Professor Reyes, noticed. After class one afternoon, she asked Elena to stay. "Tell me about your portfolio," she said. "Tell me about the person who painted those." Elena told her everything. Rosa, the studio, the Saturdays, the diagnosis, the brushes in the jar, the yellow circle at Serenity Gardens. She had never said all of it out loud before. It took an hour. When she finished, Professor Reyes was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You don't have a creative block, Elena. You have something to say. The problem is you're trying to paint around the feeling instead of through it." Elena went back to the studio that night. Alone, she picked up the brush. She didn't try to paint something beautiful. She tried to paint exactly what she felt. It was angry, dark, messy, nothing like Rosa's grace. She painted grief. She painted the studio packed into boxes. She painted a yellow circle on a white background. She painted until 2 a.m. and then she sat back and looked at what she'd made. It was terrible, and she felt better. She came back every night that week. Angry canvases, sad canvases, one that was just the color blue, painted over and over until the canvas was heavy with it. None of it was beautiful, all of it was true. Then Professor Reyes announced the final project. Standing at the front of the studio, she looked at each student. 12 weeks from today, you will present one piece. It must represent your deepest truth. The thing you have never been able to say with words. Your deepest truth. Elena knew exactly what hers was. She had known since she was 16, standing in front of a blank canvas with tears she couldn't see through. But knowing the truth and being ready to show it, those are two very different things. Next episode, Elena has 12 weeks, one canvas, and one truth too big to hold inside. And somewhere across town, Rosa is having her best day in months, remembering something she was never supposed to remember. Find out what it is in episode 3.